Hi, it's Hans Lyskimp here. This is a video to the people of Iceland inviting you to come to Norway. Today is April 12, 2010, and I am sitting here on my balcony in Oslo looking out over the Oslo fjord, and I'll show you the fjord right there. The sun and the spring has come. As you can see, the leaves are not quite coming out on the trees yet. I can see a little bit of green in the trees, but we haven't got the leaves yet. But it's a fantastic day. It's warm and nice, and I'm sitting out here just in my shirt working on my balcony. And I don't know what it's like on Iceland today. I hope you have a nice day too. But here it's really warm and nice, and you can swim right there in the water in the summer, and the summer is much longer than on Iceland. And what I'm trying to get at is that in Iceland you have a severe financial crisis, a lot of debt on every person. In Norway, of course, we have a surplus and we have money in the bank for every person. And we do have a free labor market within the Scandinavian countries, Iceland included. So you can move here, and I invite you to do that. I think you should. I know a lot of Icelanders are doing this anyway, and this is just my 2 cents on the issue. I've been to Iceland. It's nice, and I love a lot of things about Iceland. I'm a history buff myself, so a lot of the connections to the sagas and the language and the people and your culture, the way you've been able to preserve a lot of the Nordic heritage is really something that fascinates me, and I'm happy you've been able to do that. But right now the jobs are probably in Norway, and you can go here. There are jobs in the oil industry, and here in Oslo there's a lot of jobs in the public sector, nursing, hospital sector. Also a lot of good jobs in the IT sector, in the financial sector. I mean, Oslo is booming. The unemployment rate here is very low. The difficult thing about coming to Oslo especially is housing and where to live. So the best thing would probably be to share housing with some other Icelanders or some people you know, at least for the start, and then look at renting something eventually. The real estate prices here are way too high, and there will come down eventually when the interest rates goes up. So I wouldn't recommend buying something. It's much better to rent and to share housing with other people. Something I'd like to say to Icelanders, and please take this on the right way. You know, it's not meant as to put anyone down or anything. But I went to Iceland, and I spoke to a lot of Icelanders, and they, you know, being a fellow Scandinavian and being a Norwegian, they, you know, we had sort of a connection there. But we Norwegians, we like to think that Icelanders were populated from Norwegians back in the 800s, 900s, that you came from Norway, and you did, right? So we like to think that there's this special connection between Norway and Iceland. And I was, you know, I was trying to sort of to get that and to talk to people and to have them, Icelanders, admit that, or you know, it's a special, that special relationship. But that didn't resonate. Somehow the Icelanders have this ambiguous relationship towards Norway, and for historic reasons and good reasons. But it seemed that the Danes you loved, and you loved Copenhagen, and Copenhagen was the real sort of capital of any Icelander feels at home in Copenhagen. A guy told me, and they didn't really feel home in Oslo at all. And of course, this is for historic reasons. We were under Denmark, both of us, for many hundred years. And then Norway broke loose in 1814, especially since 1905. We built, you know, Oslo as our capital, and we've taken off in a historic direction. And if you come here, especially if you come here to work, I kind of advise you to embrace that and to say sort of that there's this special connection between Norway and Iceland, and Norwegians and Icelanders, because you will flatter the Norwegians. If you sort of go on with that Danish thing, it's the Norwegian national identity is built on separating ourselves from Denmark in 1814 unwillingly. We didn't want that back then, but Denmark unfortunately went with Napoleon and lost at Waterloo and had to give up Norway. So that was something we did with a lot of duress and a lot of stress, and we still have a lot of love for Denmark through that. Then we went under Sweden for almost 100 years, and in 1905 we broke away from Sweden, and that was something we wanted to do because we felt that we were serfs under Sweden. So we have this sort of weird relationship to both Denmark and Sweden, having broken off from them within 100 years, but for very different reasons, and therefore with different sentiment towards those countries. Towards Denmark we have sort of an ancient love, and it's good to be Norwegian in Denmark. It's a very popular expression, and we love the Danish wit and the Danish character and the food and everything, and there's this longing towards Denmark. You can even see it in our flag. I mean, our flag is basically a version of the Danish flag. But the Swedes, of course, we are historically much closer to, and physically much closer to, and much tighter integrated, because the Industrial Revolution really came while we were under Sweden and since that. So we're much tighter integrated with Sweden, but we don't love them. The Norwegians don't love the Swedes, and I don't think the Swedes love us that much either, but I think they maybe love us more than we love them. The Icelanders, of course, are different, because you're out there in the icy waters and you weren't ever an important part of who we were. But try to imagine yourself sort of going through the journey that we had. And the Icelanders, you had the same journey, breaking off from Denmark, with a little bit more of a love-hate relationship than we have. But if you come to Norway, I advise you to sort of integrate this experience that Norway has had in the history. We internalize that and share it with Norwegians, and it will be easier to sort of build rapport and connect with Norwegians. Okay, that was a digression. Come to Norway. You know, winters are awful here. They're awful in Iceland, and that's no different. But the summers are better here. The work is better. You make good money. You can always move back to Iceland. Consider moving to Oslo and to the east coast, because the weather really is much better here. I know a lot of people from Stavanger and Bergen and things have moved over to Oslo, and the summers are warmer and the weather is better. So you might as well move here, I mean, than moving to Stavanger. It's really not much of a difference. Maybe if you have education or skills that are useful in the oil industry, it's a little better to live in Stavanger, and the work environment might be better there. But for most people that aren't sort of specifically in the oil industry, Oslo is the best. The salaries are highest here, and it's close to the Gardermoen airport. You can fly back to Iceland, or you can fly down south during the winter to the Mediterranean or the Canary Islands, or further away to Florida or whatever, Thailand. Next year there'll be two airlines, Thai Air and Norwegian, flying non-stop from Gardermoen to Bangkok. So Oslo is a fairly international place, and it's getting more so for every day that passes, because we're getting richer and people are going here to do business, and it's a pretty exciting place, a lot more exciting than it was, relatively speaking, 30 or 40 years ago. I mean, it's as exciting as Stockholm or Copenhagen, and we're much smaller, and it wasn't always like that, but now it is. So we welcome you. Come on down. You know, contact me if you like and ask me questions or whatever. I guess, you know, even most Norwegians have a spare room for guests or whatever, and you know, if the right person even might be able to stay with me, an au pair or something to help with the house, or a good developer, programmer. If you can code good, PHP or whatever, I might let you stay in my place for a couple of months. So it's possible to reach out to people and to come to Norway and set up a new life. So think about that. Welcome to Oslo. Thanks.